What?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
What?
I got 2 words for you.
4 minutes, The Rock says, know your role.
Is having a fight. All-star wrestling, why that's for me. A super destroyer is on TV. He's got brute strength and all the moves. He's number 1, go spread the news. Tell Jesse the body and all the rest. He's the greatest, he's the best. A super destroyer Mark II. Stand back and watch what he can do. A super destroyer.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to episode 30 of the Middle-Aged Outlaws podcast. Episode 30, how did we get here?
Oofed.
Not so fast. 1998 slowed us down somewhat. We started on top 5s and now we're just randomly picking things we want to watch.
It's the best way, because you can be excited about watching it.
Exactly. How are you, Adam, anyway? You good?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yourself?
I'm alright, thanks. I'm very good. Better than last week. How about you?
Yeah, same. Yeah, I've got 2 feet that are almost exactly the same size, so that's great news for me.
Can't grumble at that, that's what you're after.
Yeah.
And talking of being unable to grumble, that would lead us straight into Bret Hart, surely.
That makes sense. Yeah.
We, this week, are going to discuss your choice from last week. WWF In Your House Canadian Stampede, which was set in 1997 and took place in Canada, funnily enough. Before I give you some really interesting information about 1997, do you want to maybe say why you wanted to do this one, or is it just a simple case of it being an awesome looking pay-per-view?
I think rather than the card and all the matches and all that, we know going into it what the story is, what the central story is, and the fact, Bret and the Hart Foundation have now moved to this situation where they are heroes in Canada, and I think basically everywhere outside the US, but hated in the US. They are proper heels. And most shows take place in the US. But you've got this situation where there's a pay-per-view in Canada, and I just remember the crowd reaction. That was, rather than the specifics of any match, what I was remembering was the crowd reaction towards Bret and, all members of the Hart Foundation just being ridiculous. And that made me want to go and watch this again.
And so would you have watched this at the time, do you think?
I don't think I did at the time. I think probably quite a few years after it.
Okay. I think I've had it in my head that I've maybe seen this before. I've not seen this before.
Okay.
So it was an experience to watch it first time. To be honest, I think it's a little bit of a slept on show. I think it's, you don't hear about it being talked about as far as like best shows ever and all that sort of thing. I'm not saying it's that, but that it's so unique that it has to be seen, I think, to be believed. Would you agree?
Yeah, because like I said, I wasn't really remembering standout matches from it beforehand, and I probably couldn't have told you what any of the matches on the card were other than the 10-man tag.
Yep.
So rewatching it, I was thinking, this is an interesting match. Oh, this is pretty good. Things like that. It kind of felt like I was in it for the main event, but there's some nice bonuses as you go along.
Yeah, I agree. So, 1987, let's play a little game. I have got the UK official singles top 10 chart here from 6th of July 1997. If you can name anything in the top 10, you can pick the next pay-per-view.
Oh no. Would I have to get the song? I can't just name an artist.
Nah, we're looking for song, Adam.
Oh God, so 1997. I mean, I'm assuming we still very much had like Britpop on the go. I think that was going a little bit.
There's Britpop in there. Yep.
Okay. And I'm trying to think, there's Blur, there's Oasis. Right, 1997. How about Common People Pulp?
Unlucky. I'm sorry, you've not won the 100,000.
Got it.
I'm doing that. Come out. I won't tell you all. There is Britpop. Bittersweet Symphony's in there by the Verve.
Okay.
What else we got here? Bop by Hanson.
Oh, nice.
It's not Britpop, obviously. Just a Girl by No Doubt. And the top three, number 3, The Journey by 911. How could you have forgotten that one, Adam?
I feel a bit stupid now.
Ecuador by Sash. And number 1 is I'll Be Missing You by Puff Daddy and Faith Evans. I assume Biggie must have been killed round about... Well, it's been in the charts for 5 weeks, so I must be round about where Biggie got killed.
I was 2 years off with Common People. It's
were you?
95. Yeah.
95, is it? God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Getting old. It's the Middle-Aged Outlaws podcast. In other news in 1987, Mike Tyson has just been suspended indefinitely for taking a chunk out of Vander Holyfield's ear, and he'll, of course, go on to be involved in WWF in the coming months. Pete Sampras and Martina Hingis won Wimbledon that year as well.
Okay.
I seem to remember as a good Royal Rumble in 1997. It was 1997 kind of start of Austin's start to move up the ladder. It wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think there's anything else to discuss. I've not got any more fun information about what's happening in the pop charts. So let's get into this pay-per-view. First thing that hit me, the In Your House, the whole setup. The In Your House set is amazing with the house and and then you see JR, King, and Vince, and they've all got cowboy hats on, leaning into this Canadian Stampede theme, which I believe is I was thinking Canadian Stampede, and then it's all like cowboy themed and all this. And I'm like, what is? I don't really understand the link here, but apparently that is a thing. And Alberta? Yeah, in Canada. And it's a thing that happens every year and all this. King has got the most ridiculous cowboy hat on you've ever seen in your life. It's gigantic.
It's weird seeing them all with cowboy hats. And you were so used to seeing JR with a cowboy hat, but it's just weird when it's other people.
Did JR didn't always, obviously at WrestleMania 9 he wasn't wearing a cowboy hat, but
No, I don't think he was doing it like on a regular basis at this point either.
So like
maybe this was the start.
Comfortable in a relationship and he starts being himself a wee bit more, eh?
Yeah. Rather than trying to disguise his accent at all, he's just leaning into it.
So we kick off with a bit of a... No, don't say that. Don't say we start off with a banger. You can't say that about every single pay-per-view we watch. We start off with a feud that seems to have been going already. We're sort of halfway into it. So Triple H is coming off King of the Ring, winning the King of the Ring over Mankind. And the storyline we've got is that Triple H basically cheated his way to win King of the Ring. And he's got this new bodyguard in tow, Chyna, who's basically helped him out. She smashes the King of the Ring scepter over Foley to help him win. And this is, I guess, is King of the Ring the previous pay-per-view?
Let me just have a look, because I've got Wikipedia open that tells you, that
was the previous one.
Yeah.
So yeah. These two, I don't think I fully appreciated how far back the rivalry went.
No, because at this point in this match, Triple H, although he's won King of the Ring, I don't think I would have ever quite got the timeline right on this. He's still kind of the aristocrat character,
isn't he? Aye.
Yeah, and I thought by the time he'd won King of the Ring, he kind of moved on from that, but clearly not. This is probably the start of him just about to move on from it, I would think.
It's quite awkward, isn't it? Because he's violent in the way that he wrestles. He's got this giant woman as his side piece. I was going to say that's not the right phrase, as his bodyguard or whatever. And then he's got the big long gown on, and he's doing the bow thing. So he's kind of I don't know.
It's strange. Did you think anything of the promo? So there's a promo beforehand, but it's like a video package thing, and it's
yes. Yes, go on.
So China tells Mankind to kiss her ass, and Mankind says, "It's your lucky day. I'm a good kisser."
That was really
That
weird.
got me. I was in hysterics at that.
Really, that's class.
Yeah.
I like this version of Mankind. He's
Yeah.
he's got big missing bits in his hair. He looks a bit more like a buffalo sort of thing with like the brown outfit and the mask.
Yeah. It's interesting to hear that with sort of, because he's obviously this sadistic character, but he's got this humor element to him as well. It worked for me.
I liked the voiceover on the package that he showed us. It was Michael Hayes, Doc Hendricks' voice, but it was like, for so many years, I was like, oh, what is this?
Brilliant.
But this is a good match, eh? This is a really good match. And let's go through it. I was going to say about the finish, but let's go through it because, like the number, I feel like the age that we are and coming back in round about Attitude Era and then going into 2000s, obviously they had quite a famous feud and Triple H retired him and all that sort of stuff. But this is obviously a precursor to that and an early version of it.
Yeah, and I think I'd bowed out at this point. I don't think I was watching regularly. I think, within the next year or so, I've probably gone back into it. Because I don't really, I'll talk about it later on when we get to the Hart Foundation and stuff, because I really enjoyed that stuff. But I've missed a lot of good stuff on the go. And I've missed sort of these kind of early stages of Mankind sort of breaking out and forming his character and all that. And I think it's probably a little bit putting him down because he has so many really good matches. But I think I just assume it's always all about the violence and, the taking ridiculous, horrible looking bumps and things like that. But there's a lot to him as a worker. He's really impressive.
Aye, definitely. Probably so underrated, I think.
Yeah.
Talking of bumps, this starts off with them going back and forward. Mankind chucks Triple H out the ring. And what have we got here? Suplex. Yes. So China basically gets herself involved almost constantly in this match to the point where you wonder if Jimmy Corderas has got something wrong with him. That he can't see what's going on. But anyway, at one point, Triple H Irish whips Mankind towards on the outside and she power slams him. And he takes this most ridiculous bump and rattles his knee off the steps.
Yeah.
I've seen him do this before, but this just looked horrible.
Yeah. It didn't look good because he's then selling it, but I was thinking, has he actually hurt himself here? Because as you say, we've seen him do this. It's like one of his sort of feature bumps. He does it in a lot of matches, but it just looked like it didn't quite hit right or a wee bit more impact than intended.
Oh, it's horrible. And that sort of gives the opening for Triple H to just really attack the knee and concentrate on it for quite some time in this match. Yeah,
he's locking in a figure of four and, he's going after the knee with kicks and things. All nice and logical. And what I don't know if I would have expected this or not. I suppose if it had been a couple of years later, I definitely would have expected it. But the crowd are really with Mankind in this match. And I'm thinking, there's no famous celebrated Canadian in here. There's no, I think, ridiculously over heel on the other side. He's getting there, but he's not quite there yet. But the crowd are really into this event, like right off the bat.
They are, eh? They're just mad for it. It's crazy. I don't think it would have mattered who you had on this card. I think they would have been going crazy for it because it's later on when the Undertaker starts coming back from being beat down with Vader and the cameras are shaking and everything. It's amazing.
It's crazy.
What else we got here? That's Foley hits a lovely sit down pile driver pulling the tights. I really like that.
Yeah, I like that as well. It's one of those moves I know they kind of outlawed it. Obviously it's a big risk, and I've just got in my notes how good it actually looks as a move when it's done, done well and obviously done safely. But yeah, it's just a great looking move.
The big sort of thing that I took away from this match was just that they were trying to put China over. Like massively.
Yeah.
Especially when you had Vince shouting, "Look at the delts on China." And
The delts.
the delts. And King says, "What?" He says, "The deltoids."
Was it ever anything that leapt out at you to say when looking at China?
No.
No. Yeah.
I'm not sure what would leap out at me to say when I was looking at China.
I think probably genuinely quite intimidated anytime she was on the screen. But yeah, like you say, I mean, there's a lot of sort of classic Mankind stuff in the match. He's got he does his double arm DDT at a point. He's got a running clothesline that takes them both over the ropes.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and China, I mean, every time they're near the ropes, never mind over the ropes, China's getting involved. And she helps with a distraction while Triple H takes out Mankind with a chair. China hits Mankind with a massive clothesline, which he sells well. I can't remember where I was hearing this, but there was a question raised. It'd be on a podcast. So when I was not very mobile, I was listening to a lot of them, and they were talking about, did any of the guys ever not want to put China over? Not want to be physically dominated by a woman in matches, and the sort of response was, well, there's always a few, but you'd probably find that the top guys, or the guys that get it, would just do it. They're, they understand where you're going with the story. And obviously, Mankind's selling the moves from China. And she's physically dominating. And, it's for what's to come, especially once we get to, I think, that original incarnation of DX, she's a pretty key component to that.
Aye, she is. It's amazing they never tried to pull the trigger on her fighting men earlier, actually, given, they can't really keep their powder dry, as we talked about before. But she was managed really well. And when they were, they being Triple H and Shawn Michaels doing their sort of juvenile stuff, she was quite a good sort of straight man to them two being a bit daft as well. Yeah,
it worked. Yeah, we've got Triple H getting crotched on the turnbuckle and Mankind applying the mandible claw. China dragging Mankind from the outside, dragging him to the floor, and then yanking his legs towards the ring post without a very happy looking ending for Mankind there. And I think that's actually what just leads up to the brawl on the outside. Triple H sending Mankind into the railing, and then they end up brawling through the crowd.
Yeah, and it almost finishes. I was a little bit disappointed. It almost finishes too early for my liking. I don't know how long it went, but then it doesn't finish too early because they keep brawling for the next half an hour.
Yeah, it's the match is just over 13 minutes, and to be fair, it didn't drag.
No,
I mean,
not at all.
It went by pretty quickly, and it didn't really feel like that length of match to me. I probably would have thought it felt like it was under 10. But yeah, I don't know how often I've seen this kind of thing. I mean, we've seen matches that end and they're brawling through the crowd, and you can see that, and it's almost like you sort of cut away and move on to the next thing. But I don't ever remember it sort of going back to it on many other shows, if any.
And it does I think in other times where you see this happen, double count out, and it's like, oh, they've just lost control, they hate each other so much. Like you say, that would be it, and you kind of you're left feeling a little disappointed. But with this, they keep brawling. We go to a little package about the Harts in Calgary, and they show you Diana fucking Smith as Miss Calgary. And then we go to an interview with Doc Hendricks with the Hart Foundation, come back, and they're still brawling in the crowd. It's amazing. It makes it feel more authentic, I think, that it's not like scenes.
Yeah, and it kind of, to me, it felt like one of those matches where both guys kind of got over, nobody loses, obviously, in that kind of match, but it kind of didn't. I always thought from this kind of match, and, there's probably a later one with, ends up being Cactus Jack and Triple H, that I think puts Triple H over as incredibly tough, which maybe was one of the things that people needed to see to see him at that level. But even this kind of thing, this match, the brawling and the sort of just won't give up, just want to fight attitude helped them both get over, I think.
And just thinking about pieced together storytelling and that sort of thing that we bemoan quite a lot, they go on to SummerSlam and fight in a steel cage.
Yeah,
which makes
as they should.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
old school blue steel cage as well.
Oh, they can't have had many more matches with those in WWE or WWF from that day onwards. But yeah, I like it.
So from there, like we've said, we get a bit of a little package, and this pay-per-view is pretty much all about celebrating the Hart family, Stampede Wrestling, Stu Hart, all that sort of stuff. So we see them in a open-top bus, being sort of fawned over by the public, apart from Neidhart, who apparently, for some reason, walked out without any sort of top on, apart from a leather jacket. I have no idea what that's about, but it's terrifying. Like I said, Diana Smith is wearing a sash that says Miss Calgary on it.
Nice.
Just so happened to be. We got Doc Hendricks with the Hart Foundation giving a little promo, and we see Austin trying to get at them. It's really held back by about 20 guys.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's funny, but I don't know. It kind of works.
It does.
So he just looks crazed.
It does.
And you've got Brett being relatively cool about the whole thing, and telling the rest of them to leave him, even though he's basically exposed. They could just jump him, but Brett says he doesn't want anyone saying they jumped him 5-on-1. Doesn't want any kind of unfair advantage in this, and I suppose that's They're in Calgary here. They're in Canada. And that's the sort of interesting dynamic, because, if this exact same show is taking place in an American city somewhere, the Hearts are the heels. Yep. But obviously they're not going to do something heelish like a 5-on-1 beatdown in a pre-match situation. It's just really interesting. I love the dynamic around the sort of, the heel face and the shades of grey that are in there, and the different ways it can be looked at depending on basically, where you're from in this situation.
Yeah, and their body language and the way that they're presented, they don't come across as happy, smiley faces.
No.
They come across as sneering, arrogant heels.
Yeah.
But they're being celebrated. There's something so brilliant about it all.
I don't think this can ever have worked anywhere else in any wrestling situation. I just can't imagine it, because it's like we've had discussions over the years about how every football team has an asshole, but when he's your asshole, you're not you just don't hate him the same way as opposition fans would.
Yep.
And at times, even in Canada, Brett's being a bit of an asshole, but they just don't feel it. They think he's right in what he's saying and what he's doing. It's such a unique situation. It's brilliantly done.
It really is, and I think we've spoke about this before as well, that it's organic. I think if you tried to manufacture this, it probably wouldn't work.
Yeah.
And I think that's the sort of beauty of it all.
Mm-hmm.
So our second match on this card of 4, like you've said, it's a short pay-per-view. I think it's 1 hour and 45 or something like that. So
yeah.
It's just almost a perfect snapshot of an event. I don't know if they actually say that this is for light heavyweight or they talk about it being in a category. But I don't know if they actually say light heavyweight, do they? I
don't think they do. It's interesting, this one, because it's almost like it's positioned as a trial type thing. And they want to see what they've got, and they want to see who they can bring in to, I think, create this division. But I don't know if they name it. And, that this is, obviously we're going to see Taka Michinoku here against the great Satsuke. And Taka Michinoku goes on to have a fairly lengthy run in WWE. But it feels to me like this is just the start of it, 'cause I imagine at this point in time, WCW have got their cruiserweight division, which a lot of people loved. I know that throughout the run of ECW, once it became ECW, they often positioned either, Mexican wrestling or Japanese wrestling, just as I think something a bit different on their show.
Yeah.
And I think WWE are maybe just trying to get their bit of that kind of action.
And the thing, well, two things I was going to say. I watched the Raw before this, and they do have Brian Christopher facing off against...
Okay.
Oh, God, I wish I'd written down his name. He was the son of some Polish wrestler they were referring to, because they were obviously King's doing the whole, what do you mean he's not my son sort of stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Versus this other guy. But they do talk about it being like, I want to say they talk about it like junior heavyweight or something like that,
okay.
as opposed to light heavyweight.
Right.
So they've obviously got things in their mind about what they want to do, but that match is nothing. This is an amazing match.
Yeah.
More of this
really
would have been like, I wanted more of this.
Yeah, and it stood out because when, it's only, a 4-match card, there's nothing like this anywhere else on this card. So it's going to stand out for what it is. And I always thought, if all your matches are high flying, that style of match, nothing's going to stand out. But on this card, this did. It was different. It was entertaining, very entertaining.
The thing I liked about this was there was high flying, but it's just such a brutal style. Seen it sort of compared to like New Japan style, a bit stiffer. I've never really watched New Japan, so that wouldn't jump out to me. But I just felt it was like a mixture of like shoot fighting and wrestling. I absolutely loved it.
It was there's quite a lot of the kicks in particular. I was thinking, they seemed pretty stiff, but I assumed they were both working that way.
Yeah.
Both just decided to go that way. I don't know that the great Satsuke ever had any other WWE matches even.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think this is a one-off. It's a shame.
But he's good. You could tell he was good. I mean, they sell him on commentary as a legend.
Hold on. Do they?
Do they not? I thought they did.
Vince says, I've got this written down. Vince says, and this guy is a world great, we are told.
Oh, wow. So he actually, buries him.
We are told. As he's coming out, he's saying that.
Okay. Somebody puts him over. It might be JR.
Maybe. They're missing Mike Tenay for his expertise.
That's who you need here. I felt like during the match, Taka's positioned as the underdog here. Certainly the less experienced of the two. But yeah, I've got memories in my mind again from another podcast of, why did you end up signing Taka and not moving for the great Satsuke? And I think, age was a factor.
Right.
Them wanting him to be exclusive to them was a factor. And they felt like there was just more potential with Taka. Whereas it ended up being Funaki that was the one with all the potential, really.
Indeed. I think if you've seen a Taka Michinoku match, you see a lot of his big things that he does. I like that thing where he runs, jumps up on the top rope and then dives out towards the entranceway. I like that. He does, as Taka does the springboard plancha for the top rope, diving, and that's amazing. Absolutely love that.
A couple of bits in my notes just about how agile Taka seems to be, which is just crazy. What did you think of the fact that you've got the Triple H and Mankind stuff going on? Did you think it took away from this at all?
No, I thought it lent itself to sort of insane atmosphere that was going on in the crowd anyway.
Yeah.
Did you think it took away from it?
No, I thought it worked. Because if someone told me that there's a match going on or a match just starting in the ring and we are going to cut away and talk about a brawl going on somewhere else and show you some footage of it, I probably would think that you're killing the guys in the ring trying to do their stuff. But it did work. And plus, I think at the start, when it starts, they've gone for, I think this took me by surprise, but certainly the first couple of minutes of the match, it's very mat based, between the two of them. They're going for holds and counters and things like that, which is, I think, the logical way to start the match. And then you're going for your bigger high risk things a bit later on.
Yeah. It did build like that, didn't it?
Yeah. And it built really logically, I thought as well. I wrote this off beforehand. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it, but it was really good fun, and it was a good match. It's well put together.
It was a nice surprise. I liked, just like how you're touching on there about the way that they started out, I liked how this guy looked like a shoot fighter. His stance looked as if he was sizing up for like leg kicks and that sort of thing. It was just different. Totally different. And this guy, Satsuke, has got the gall to kick out the Michinoku driver.
Yeah.
Stick the belt on him right now.
Yeah, I was thinking when I saw him kick out of that, because I'm sure I've looked before I've done this at, the breakdown. I don't know if I would have paid much attention to who won the match beforehand. So I'm watching it, and when I see the Michinoku driver, I thought, oh, that's it. Because this is just the start of his career, and then, he's kicked out of his finisher. It was... it got me. The match got me. I just didn't expect it to.
I was the exact same. And pretty much after he kicks at the Michinoku driver, I think this must be, did they call it a thunder firebomb?
Yeah.
That sounds like something you would drink when you're 16.
Which I was at this point.
Well, there you go. Sort of, how would you describe it? Like underhooks from behind and like a pin and suplex?
Yeah, underhook, is it like a German with a bridge?
Aye.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah. And then...
How long did that go?
That match was 10 minutes.
Was it? Wow.
Yeah.
There you go. 10 minutes of fun.
Yeah. And Triple H and Mankind are now brawling in the parking lot.
Did they go at the parking lot? I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Class. I remember them making a big thing of them being in the penalty area, the ice hockey penalty area. I don't remember them being outside. That's class. So, we're sort of gifted a little bit of a treat here, because what they'd been building up to for the next match, which was a title match, at this point Undertaker's champion, they'd be building up a heel Ahmed Johnson, who at this point had joined the Nation. They'd been building him up to fight off against the Undertaker. Thank God he got injured.
I mean, that would, I suppose it's not the main event, right? Because the 10-man tag is the main event. But Ahmed Johnson getting a world title match on a pay-per-view just seems insane.
It really does. I was going to say, what did they see in him? But, I mean, that answers its own question. But,
yeah.
I mean, he can't... His promos were inaudible.
Yeah, he had nothing. His promos were terrible. His in-ring work was just
shocking.
Yeah, and I would fully believe probably hurt quite a few guys in matches, because it just didn't look safe. He couldn't sell. He couldn't do anything. And he had the look, and that's it. There was nothing more there. And I'm imagining, because I don't think he ever got to challenging for a world title level. So I'm assuming things are probably not downhill from here, because I know he breaks away from the Nation and then feuds with them, which is probably reasonably positioned on a card. But
yeah, I seem to remember in our early 1998 journey that happening, and him doing some really dodgy looking Pearl River plunges through tables to people and hospitalising people. I do think he suffered a lot of injuries in his career as well. I seem to remember him being sidelined a couple of times. That's what happens when you wear your elbow pads on your knees and all that, isn't it? Silly Ahmed.
But so we get your guy Vader instead.
My man.
Yeah.
I didn't fully grasp. Full disclosure, I started drinking whilst I was watching this, and at some point I realised that I hadn't had very much to eat that day. I hadn't had dinner yet. Some of my notes are a little bit scrambled, so I was a little bit confused with where the Paul Bearer angle came in with Vader.
Okay, so Paul Bearer. All I know on this, because I didn't really look before. If you know what I mean. He's just starting this, so he's aligned with Vader. He's starting calling Undertaker a murderer. We are, I think, a good few months away still from Kane appearing, but this is just sort of the early planting the seeds that Kane's coming. And I think, I assume, well, I suppose I don't know whether they had to take they must have had the Kane thing in mind by now, but I'm assuming they need to align Paul Bearer with somebody who's active and already there, to kind of go up against the Undertaker at this point. Although this match wasn't supposed to be the match.
Nah. and they showed footage from the Royal Rumble 97. I think they had Vader and Taker. They fought then, and is that where Vader double crossed him? Is that?
I think so. Right. Yeah, because I mean Vader has been around the top of the card for a little while, because I'm sure he's. Remember they had that Rumble with the disputed finish and all that, and then Michaels drops the belt and walks away for a little while, and they did the Final Four thing, and he was involved in the title picture at that stage. Right, yeah. Okay,
cool. I mean, well, I've definitely said this before, but Vader should have the belt at some point. He was screwed over by that little weasel, Shawn Michaels. But we'll leave that one. I think Bearer and Vader look like they go together. I think it works.
I never knew whether, I probably didn't hear him do it himself enough, apart from what was it, I'm just a fat piece of shit or something like that. Never really heard Vader cutting an awful lot of his own promos. I think him having a guy there with him probably does help. And he should, just focus on being some sort of monster. I think I'm so conflicted with Vader because I want to like him. I want to look at him and think, oh, he's the guy, or he could be the guy. I don't know. What's
the but here?
I never buy it. I don't know what it is,
What?
And I'm sure. I think the problem I'll have with Vader is I'll have seen everything in the wrong order. So I imagine if I saw him in like WCW when he was portrayed as a monster, he was destroying everyone.
Fools, aye.
And he was beating, the absolute top of the card guys. And, a few years have passed and I think he'd back to Japan, then he's WCW again, then he's here. And I think I just look and think, he's in there against The Undertaker. Maybe if he was in there against a Shawn Michaels and that had actually happened and they'd followed through with the storyline, I could have thought, well, yeah, you take the belt off Michaels. I don't know. I never quite saw him at world title level in WWE. But
fair.
then
it's fair.
I suppose they, when he got kind of screwed out of it, it was Sid they ended up going with, wasn't it? And he was never the greatest worker in the world, but Vince loved him. Vince absolutely loved him.
Shocker.
Yeah.
Bad shin bones though. Sid.
Yeah. And what was the other thing they said? Oh, he always disappeared around softball season. I think
He said.
say. Yeah.
Amazing. Huge softball fan.
Suddenly he would have all these injuries and just wouldn't show and call and cancel and stuff like that. Yeah, he became very unreliable around softball season.
That's
apparently.
Hilarious. So I do have a lot of notes for this match. One of them being, I've had too much to drink to be making these notes.
No.
I've just realised I've had no dinner.
Oh, okay. So
let's talk this match. Another good match, I think.
This was pretty good.
A big man match, like we've said, we've spoken about it before. It's a good big man match, I think.
Yeah, I think I get flashbacks from some of the horrendous Undertaker big man matches of like early in his career when he'd be in against guys that couldn't move and couldn't take a bump or anything like that. Vader can do that. He's still pretty agile.
Yes.
For his size, he's agile. But I think, they know they need to speed up the match and then slow it down at times and things like that. Which is just, that's what you have to do in pretty much any big man match. I'm thinking you maybe need like an assistant. So when you're watching something, you just say what you're thinking and somebody could take the notes for you.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got 2 children, surely. I mean, to rethink that one, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, are they into wrestling? Do they enjoy it?
Yeah.
Would they watch old stuff?
No.
Oh, okay. It's the current product.
Unfortunately, they've been poisoned by McMahon's propaganda.
Damn it. Oh, well. Once we're covering, this era stuff in like 10, 15 years or something, that'll be fine. That'll be easy.
Too old and no interest in what we're talking about. Anyway.
I do have a few notes.
Cool.
If you want me to go through some of these, because I've got Undertaker starting really fast and dominating early. He's like doing some of his classic moveset before it feels like we've really even started. He goes old school, walks the ropes.
Is it old school though if it's in 1997?
Nah, he goes school.
School?
Yeah. And I've got it in my notes that we're about 2 or 3 minutes in and Vader hasn't had an offensive move yet. He eventually knocks Undertaker down, but he does his classic setup and we've got Vader just going for punches, just trying to inflict any damage. Undertaker gets one of his, classic running, jumping, flying clotheslines.
Yeah.
But Vader kicking out at that. Vader locks in a sleeper. Chance for both men to catch
slow it down, yep.
Yeah, just catch a bit of a breather, slow the match down, which is good for psychology. There was something I was hearing, again, it must have been podcasts. It was about Scott Hall speaking to younger talent in WCW when he was there.
Right.
And some of the young talent that were trying to what was the phrase? Get all my shit in, do every single possible move they could think of.
Yep.
And he was like, he explained to one of them that, while you're doing all the moves, the announcers can only talk about the moves. If you slow it down, apply a hold, just give it like 30 seconds or something like that, they'll start talking about you rather than the moves.
Holy shit.
Thought that was really interesting.
God. Get that played to every single person in the AEW and most of the WWE locker rooms.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. So I've kind of, ever since I heard it, I've kind of started looking for it, and it does seem to be true because, how often are you going to mention, he's really cinched in that, you will start talking about the character and things like that. Well, I've got Taker with, he gets out of the sleeper and then 2 big boots to send Vader over the top rope to the floor.
I thought that looked massive to me. It's just a really simple move, but with the way that Vader sold that with flying over top rope, I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, and I think, certainly for most of his matches that I've watched, he is a good seller. I think a lot of people of his size maybe wouldn't want to sell quite as much. We've got Vader starting taking control on the outside, but Paul Bearer's he's running away from Undertaker. He's playing like this coward who is terrified.
He's amazing.
Of Undertaker here, and he's shouting murderer as he's doing it.
He does a cheeky wee murderer at the camera and points at Undertaker behind him. Murderer.
I did like Paul Bearer. I definitely preferred him when he was against Undertaker. So there was just more to it.
He was vicious, wasn't he?
And
sometimes he would take his shoe off, and I think he did in this match. He took his shoe off and helmet.
Yeah. We've got McMahon saying, this annoyed me a wee bit. So McMahon, we're a few minutes into the match, And Undertaker has had quite a offense, but we've got McMahon questioning what Undertaker has to do to put Vader away, and he hasn't performed any of his usual finishing moves. So I would suggest what he should do is one of those. That's probably the way to put him away. However, you could argue a story: could he get Vader up for a tombstone, or a chokeslam even? Because he's a big guy. But yeah, McMahon was annoying me a wee bit at that point. We've got Undertaker. Because of the constant sort of Bearer shouts and distractions, he ends up chasing Paul Bearer, but Vader catches Undertaker from behind. I've not described this very well in my notes, whatever this was, and I wasn't drinking. Vader with a clothesline type thing from the top rope for a 2 count.
Don't know what that was.
Neither do I.
I don't recognise that.
I don't even know if it means he came off the ropes onto Undertaker. Yeah, who knows?
The thing I noticed about when Undertaker was stalking Paul Bearer, the crowd were going mad for it.
Yeah, they were. And again, this is another, Undertaker's, he's not yet got to the American Badass or anything like that. But, everyone knows he's American. But they're massively behind. I think they were just so up for the show, which is great. And you don't often, I imagine, in the really big cities and the big arenas, they're so spoiled. And we talked about this when we were talking SummerSlam '92. Yeah. Once you take it out of those areas that get so much, top level, big names, wrestling, that the appreciation from the crowd, they just really want to enjoy the show.
Yep.
We've got
a
suplex, then a splash for another 2 count for Vader. And then there's another rest hold, just let it breathe a little bit, where he's doing this. Is it like supposed to be a nerve hold on the shoulder? It's like basically like you have the person sitting down in front of you and you're behind them just cinching down.
The shoulder, neck area.
Yeah. And again, that's slowing things down a bit, letting it breathe, and probably giving both guys just a little bit of time to recover.
Get ready for the big finish. Can we talk about the finish?
Yep.
I really like this, but the finish is odd because Undertaker's down and Vader's up on that second rope, ready to hit the Vader bomb.
Yeah.
He doesn't get a chance because Undertaker gets up, and what I've got written in my notes is, it's Vader bomb time. Oh no, Taker has just gotten up and punched him square in the mastodons.
Yeah, that's basically what. Why did he? There were a few things just in this sort of run to the finale that didn't quite look right. I've got a few. So I've got Undertaker sets up for a chokeslam, but Vader kicks him in the nuts. Should be a DQ, as JR says, but Tim White just can't be arsed. He was definitely looking right at it. We've got Taker going for a tombstone, but Vader kind of flips him, which didn't look good.
They both kind of fell over there, didn't they?
Yeah. So I've got in my notes, at least it didn't look choreographed. But, you do get, there is an argument for if things go wrong or if moves go wrong in a ring, well, they would, of course they would. And I kind of chalked it up a little bit to that, but I was a wee bit worried about the health of both because it just didn't look brilliant. And then Vader's bouncing on the ropes for a Vader bomb. He's taking ages. Undertaker sits up, gets up, delivers a low blow. I suppose that makes it one each.
And is it at this point that he hits chokeslam for the second rope, Si?
Yeah, so the fact he's hit the low blow, but Vader's still on the ropes facing backwards. So Undertaker is able to get him, and then he executes the chokeslam, but it's a 2.
I know.
It's just a 2.
We're keeping Vader strong here.
Yeah. And then there's a second chokeslam and a kick out by Vader. And then we've got the Undertaker getting Vader up for the tombstone, which it does look quite impressive just with the size of Vader. And I never feel like I've seen it with some others, but I've never really felt like it looked like Undertaker was about to drop someone.
I think early days Kane used to look like that. Looked pretty scary, like he was
like they were going to slip from his grasp a little bit as they're So he gets the tombstone and the pinfall win to retain, and Paul Bearer is absolutely furious. This has not gone the way he wanted at all. He basically has a tantrum. He's livid.
And is it at this point, is it Vince does a bit of Kane teasing here, or is it Vader? Does Vader start talking about Kane? No. I think it's maybe Vince. I don't have it
in my notes, but I think it might be Vince.
Aye. I was surprised at the mentions of Kane, but I know that they did the whole reveal of you killed your family and you left your brother and all that sort of stuff. So I just couldn't remember if they actually specifically named him Kane.
Yeah, the family thing is definitely referenced here. In terms of, Undertaker killed his family, and I think without mentioning names, they mention like mum, dad, and brother or something like that, right. And I think it's Vince, just sort of picking up on what Bearer had said. I think Vince is kind of relaying that to the audience, so they've obviously got their plan in mind of where they're going.
Asshole brothers is a bit of a theme of this pay-per-view, actually.
Oh.
Hey. Where do we go from it? I think, do we get a little packet? We get a sort of weird package about the Nation and DOA.
Yeah. That started off really weird because it ends up, so it's like they're initially just talking about factions. Factions have become a thing in WWE. And then they talk about, feud between Austin and Brett becoming a sort of feud between Austin and the whole Hart Foundation. And it's actually quite a good package, but it's really strange at the start because it's involving groups that, have absolutely no relevance to what's going on here. It's a little bit odd.
When I watched the Raw before it, they were making a big thing of gang warfare as started in the WWF, and I think Crush must have originally been in the Nation of Domination, was he?
Yeah, he was.
And then he comes out and he's got his real brothers with him and all this sort of stuff with DOA. So we go into, I think we go into a promo with Brett. Here, I love, he refers to Austin, the Legion of Doom, Goldust and Shamrock as scum.
Yeah.
And the way he says it, like he means it. They are absolute scum. I love that.
Yeah, I think we definitely mentioned this when we were doing SummerSlam 92 as well, but this whole narrative that Brett can't or couldn't do promos or wasn't strong on the mic, it's nonsense.
Amazing. Especially heel, I think.
Yeah, looking back, this is actually my favourite Brett. It's throughout this storyline, and it makes me really disappointed that I wasn't watching at the time, because I think I just would have really enjoyed this.
Yeah, same. This must be round about, I've seen the footage before, I have no idea the context. Him and McMahon are in the ring, they're surrounded by a cage, and you see Brett throwing Vince to the floor.
Yeah, so I think it's known as the first time that Vince was identified as the owner rather than just an announcer. What had happened is there's a title match, Brett loses, there's some shenanigans in the match, and he is basically calling out Vince as, this is his fault, he should be making sure this kind of thing doesn't happen, this is bullshit, and all that kind of thing. And, probably, well, definitely quite an important moment, because they haven't piled onto it yet. It's happened, and it's been referenced, but nobody is saying, well, Vince, you're the owner, that kind of thing. But it's like just this little step towards, well, I suppose what ends up not working out all that well for Brett in the long run, but this character that Vince becomes. And it's really interesting that they've done it here with seemingly nowhere obvious to go with it. But yeah, I remember it, hearing it referenced as a really big thing, because Vince, certainly up till that point, did not want to be known as anything more than just an announcer. As far as the crowd were concerned, that's what he wanted them believing.
That's interesting. So this team that we've got with Doc Hendricks, a bit of a ragtag group of random guys to be representing
Yeah.
They don't call themselves Team USA, I don't think, but they're essentially representing USA. Austin, the story's there. And I think what happened, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I want to say that the Hart Foundation called out and basically an open challenge, 5 of us versus 5 of you. Who wants some sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that's right. I don't know how the team came together for Austin's side, but I do remember it being like a challenge, effectively. So these were obviously the guys to step up. I don't know what sort of thought and logic was put into it. I guess, you've got Ken Shamrock must be fairly new. He would have debuted as the ref at WrestleMania.
Yep.
And then you've got, LOD, who are basically huge certainly in America. I imagine everywhere. They were huge over their initial runs. Goldust always felt like a bit of an odd add to this team, but I think that's maybe referenced or touched upon that he stepped up. He was the guy that wanted to be in this.
Right.
So yeah, I assume it must have been you find 5 guys or 4 guys or something like that. And then, cause it's so much of the Team America, is on Austin. That's, he's the central guy to the story. So I'm not saying it didn't matter who the others were. But it certainly was never as important as who was leading that team.
No, agreed. And the only thing, and it didn't occur to me until I watched it, to be fair, where was Shawn Michaels?
Is he still in his I've lost my smile?
I assume so.
Phase at this point. Yeah, I think he probably is, because he's definitely vacated the belt a while ago. So I think he must be back fairly soon, though, just looking at where we are. His next event is SummerSlam. Is he doing
Brett?
He's special guest ref for the Brett Undertaker title match.
Aye. Yeah. How good is Austin's entrance?
Oh, love it.
It's amazing. He's so happy.
I love actually everything about the entrances here, because Austin is reveling in this.
Oh my God, he's loving it.
He loves how much they hate him. And they always say it's a lot easier and more fun to be a heel. And I suppose you could argue that Austin was never your traditional babyface. But he probably isn't getting this kind of reaction, or very rarely getting this kind of reaction now. He's in his element.
He proper is. It's amazing. It's almost to the point where he's breaking character, because he looks like you say, he's reveling in it. But obviously the entrances is all about the Hart Foundation, and we get a pop. We get a huge pop for Pillman, first of all. Neidhart. Then we get. It's quite jarring hearing Davy Boy's music, I felt, and I expect them all to come out together, but they totally did the right thing by having them all come out separately. Fucking definitely. Diana Hart appears.
Yeah, I've got in my notes, we've got a really loud pop for Pillman. I felt like the Neidhart and then Bulldog ones were, certainly the Neidhart one was a little bit lower, but that's fine. It kind of works. Bulldog came out, it was a good reaction again. And I've just got in my notes, shit, is that Diana Hart? Please, nobody give her a mic.
We're going to go to Sean Mooney, Dan. And then, how good is Owen? I don't remember this music. Owen's music is amazing.
It's brilliant. And he gets a really good reaction as well.
He's got his slammies.
I loved Owen. Owen was genius.
Do you know what he had this? Do you know what he got those slammies for?
No, I don't. And I remember how much he celebrated them like they were titles, but I don't remember how he ever got them.
I've no 100% checked this, right? But one of them was for being something like the biggest rat in the WWF, and the other one he stole from somebody.
That's amazing. Brilliant.
How good is that? I felt like the pop for Owen was comparable with the pop for Brett.
Yeah.
I thought they were both just as big as one another.
Yeah, and it was great. I mean, it just, I think they got the order right, because because I think the Pillman pop was a little bit more than the Neidhart one. It's up and then it's just a little bit down and then it's up and then it's huge and then massive. It's perfect.
I like the look. I like the leather jackets with the names on the back of them and all that. I think they look total cool. I feel like this version of Bulldog compared to what we've seen in '92, I feel like this version of Bulldog could be pushed. I think it just looked better. I don't know if it's the tights, leather jacket, short hair. I don't know what it was, but I think it just looked better.
He left soon after the screw job, didn't he? Or pretty much straight after.
He did,
I think.
Aye.
So if where I can't even think where we are in the year here.
This is July, so we're only talking 4 months.
Yeah, that'll be about it. Wow. Crazy.
Which is amazing. I mean, yeah, looking at this, do you know what I was thinking? I wonder if they ever went back to Canada again that year. Well, funnily enough, yes, they did. But it wasn't the greatest of occasions.
No, they didn't send them away happy that night.
Nah. Again, sort of probably going against convention and what we're used to, our two biggest stars start this match as well.
Yeah, which I wasn't expecting as it started. Did you notice they actually mentioned the documentary? They mentioned...
Aye, they've got them ringside.
Yeah.
The documentary, aye.
Yeah, that just put in my mind this must all happen pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you would kind of expect the build-up to waiting for the hot tag, certainly in terms of Brett, but no, Brett and Austin start the match.
I wonder if that's pre-planned or if that's an audible based on let's like put this, the temperature in here is crazy. Let's put up another notch. I'd love to know that.
Yeah, I've got a thing in my notes saying that the crowd noise for just some basic starting a match moves is absolutely incredible. And then Austin starts flipping off the crowd. Brilliant.
Aye. Even just them going toe to toe back and forward, you feel like they hate each other. They had a really good rivalry, Austin and Brett.
Yeah, and it's very well done. Apparently they had a great relationship, and both wanted to work together. Brett, I think, specifically asked to work with Austin before he was necessarily at that level. There's such a good dynamic between the two. It's just brilliant.
Aye. Did you? So this is a 5v5 match.
Yeah.
And at one point I was a bit like, is this elimination or is it straight up one pin? Yeah,
because I don't think it was mentioned as we were going. So when it was starting, I was wondering the same thing. I didn't know. And I thought, I wonder, the order of eliminations, if this is elimination. Because all I could really remember about it was like the very end point when all the Hearts end up in the ring. But, they could have had guys eliminated. But I don't think it had been mentioned in the build-up. So I went into it not knowing as well.
Sorry, I'm cutting you off.
Oh, sorry. The match is it's 25 minutes, I think, it gets. And I'd seen that and I thought, it must be elimination. But no.
And I think when I thought that, I was a little bit disappointed. But then when it plays out, when you just let it play out, I think it ups the stakes.
Yeah.
Because it could get a little, you could probably think about what's going to happen with elimination. Whereas with the fact that it's just one pin, that's it really upped the stakes for me. I liked it even more, actually.
Yeah, it's really good. Some of the action as we're going early is pretty fast paced, and you've got quite a few tags in and out, various people getting involved. I loved Pillman. I always think it's just he's such a character.
He is. He's tapping Shamrock's hand to the mat.
Yeah. Just to mimic him tapping out and to do it to Shamrock, that's just brilliant. I always feel a bit sad because obviously, he passes away very young, but I believe by the time he's even signed his WWE contract, the injury that's basically ruining his career is already happened.
Oh, really?
Which is just really sad to think about. I think he had was it like a quad bike accident or something like that and crushed his ankle.
Right.
And that was I think he was feigning that it wasn't that bad to make sure he got his deal and all that. But then when it comes to in ring, you know, I remember from the very, very old days, when I was watching WCW, they had like some show late at night on ITV, before, you know, the Monday Night Wars or anything like that. And Flying Brian was one of my favourites. He's just like this high flyer, and being a WWF guy, I hadn't seen an awful lot of that. You'd had like, you know, Jimmy Snuka having a match here and there and things like that, but he just looked absolutely spectacular, but he was never able to be anything like that guy in WWF.
That's interesting. Obviously his kids in AEW, I don't know, early doors, or maybe about this time last year he was getting a little bit of a push, but I just don't think he's got it the same way his dad did. I want to say does he go by Flying Brian as well, maybe?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Has he had his program with Austin by already at this point? You know, the whole Austin turn up his house and all that. Aye.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. He must have, because at that point, I'm sure he was pretty new to WWE, because I'm sure, based on the fact that they'd had a tag team in WCW days, I think they programmed them together pretty much straight away.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's such a cliche, but it just comes across as so unpredictable. You don't know what he's going to do. And then Neidhart gets in the ring and tries to square up as if he's going to go toe-to-toe with Shamrock. And Shamrock swings a kick at him, and Neidhart misses. I want to say he does his trademark laugh, and then Shamrock just wellies him again. He goes down.
It's a pretty good segment, actually. Because I imagine, you know, you've brought in this guy who is this shoot fighter who's, what did they used to term him as? World's most dangerous man.
Aye.
Yeah, and I bet some guys were, you know, behind the scenes tempted to just have a go. Yeah, they must have been, and probably get put in their place pretty quickly. But it made me laugh, that segment. It was good. You're right with what you're saying. There's a lot going on. It breaks down a few times. It's really early on in this match that Owen gets hit with the Doomsday Device. Yeah, like really. I mean, I feel like it's always brutal seeing Doomsday Device these days, but I thought it was pretty early on. Did Brett disappear for a portion of this match as well? I've definitely got in my notes about Owen.
Oh aye.
And Austin disappears for a bit as well, which levels things up. And we've talked before about the need to at times reduce what's going on, because there's various times where they're fighting on the outside or where multiple people are in the ring at the same time. But at least this was not too hard to keep your eye on, because it's a tag match, and there should, in theory, only be two participants in the ring at any given time. But what you do find, anytime, and again, this I think plays into the realism, anytime anyone's got, say, a cover or locking in a submission move, you know somebody is coming in to break it up. Yeah. Until, you know, you get far later in the match, that's always going to be the case. And it probably adds to the fact, you know, what you mentioned earlier about it not being a
elimination.
Yeah. It means you basically have the 10 guys around the ring, although it reduces to 8 for a little while. But it was always, sometimes they can feel like a bit of a mess. I never really felt that for this. I felt like I constantly had my eyes on it. It was just really entertaining.
Yeah. And am I right in saying that Austin takes out Owen first?
Yeah.
And then Brett just goes bananas?
Yeah, Austin wraps Owen's leg round the post. And then hits it with some chair shots. We've got your buddy Bruce trying to get involved.
Shot at Austin, didn't he?
Yeah, just from over the barrier.
Absolute piece of shit.
And then I think, is that after the Doomsday Device? Yeah, that all happens just after the Doomsday Device. So that's basically like Austin trying to just eliminate Owen from the match, really. And Brett goes absolutely ballistic.
Love that as well, that's brilliant, eh?
Yeah, It's and again, you get it. There's that's your brother. It's not just your teammate. That's your brother. How are you going to react? Brett's so good. He's just so fucking good.
He wraps Austin's knee. He slams it with a chair. He slams it with a fire extinguisher. And then to top it off, he slaps on the figure of 4 upside down around the pole. It's amazing.
And I love that spot. I always enjoyed that when he does that to guys. I think it eventually gets broken up by one of the LOD guys. But it looks like it must be such a sore move, wrapping the figure of 4 around the ring post.
The thing with Brett is there's no like bravado to the crowd or anything like that. He's just doing it and it looks like he's trying to do it to hurt him. Yeah.
So that's the point where we get Austin leaving. I think JR actually comments saying he's being taken back for medical attention,
right.
Which leaves us with a 4-on-4 for now. I've got Brett and Shamrock going at it. Shamrock getting thrown from the ring. Pillman throwing Shamrock over the announce table.
Yes, my notes say, Christ, Pillman just wrecked Shamrock.
Yeah, I was watching it thinking he did that with a wee bit too much enthusiasm. I was thinking, did Shamrock definitely know that was coming? We've got Bulldog starting to dominate Shamrock, but Shamrock hitting a low blow to let him make the tag out to Goldust. And I think it's at the point Bulldog and Goldust are in the ring that Austin limps back down to get back involved in the match. And I think we get Austin and Brett both tagged in again and them going at it in the ring. It's just, it's brilliant stuff.
And Austin eventually gets the point he slaps the sharpshooter on Brett. Yeah. Things are looking great. And strangely enough, none of the Hart Foundation decides to step in, apart from Brother Owen, who comes running, sort of limping down and breaks it all up. Again, things break down, but just before that, it must be when Bulldog and Goldust are in the ring. I've got that Diana's looking very confused, possibly from being on the front line. But Owen comes down and breaks up the sharpshooter. And is where all the hearts get back on Austin, or have we had that? And again, later.
We've got from here your favourite, or second favourite, third favourite Hart
Keith?
trying to get himself involved. We've got.
I think Keith falls over the barrier.
Keith
legit falls over the barrier. That asshole Bruce with his leather jacket and his sunglasses on, looking like a shit Roddy Piper, tries to attack. I think Austin goes for Stu, doesn't he?
Yeah, Austin goes for Stu. Bruce, I think, throws his drink over Austin.
That's right.
And then Austin goes for Stu. And then we've got Austin, I think, getting pulled over the guardrail by the rest of the family. And the Hart brothers start rolling with LOD. Austin's back in the ring, but he's distracted. He's leaning through the ropes, which is when we go to our finish of Owen rolling up Austin for the pinfall win. I was actually really glad in a lot of ways that it was Owen that got the pinfall win.
Yep.
Yeah. It felt like he was kind of really well positioned in this match because he's kind of got the heroic comeback from the injury when he comes back down to break up the sharpshooter, and then it's him getting the pinfall win, which I just really liked.
It's interesting. Yeah, I wonder if that's a conscious decision to try and elevate Owen rather than pull Austin back down. It has to be, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And it was
Owen's Intercontinental Champion at this point.
Yeah. And it's kind of, I suppose it's kind of positioned as a fluke. It's a roll up. It came out of nowhere. It's nothing to say that that Austin was, beat down or Owen was better than him or anything like that. But I'm imagining that the next pay-per-view is the Intercontinental match between Austin and Owen.
Yeah, it is. It's when Owen breaks his neck.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think everything about this match is perfect. I was thinking about it, and like I think they might have done this in later years. Play up the angle that 2 or 3 on the Hart side are not Canadian. At least 2 of them are American.
Yeah.
As Brett and Owen got to be thinking about that, you can imagine them playing up that sort of angle. Somebody's going to get screwed by somebody. There's none of that. It played it perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah, and played it, as you say, like completely straight. There's no real shenanigans. There's, Austin, I think, is already fully in the don't trust anybody mode type thing, but he has to have partners for this. Nobody screws him. Everyone's, trying to win for their team. So there's absolutely no shenanigans. The pin didn't feel, definitive, and nothing about it felt like it should be the end of this. Yep. There's so many directions you can still go, which left it really nice and open. And obviously having, Bruce involved was absolutely key.
Shamrock does leather him when on the outside. I made a note of that. Fuck
is
you,
that
Bruce Hart.
One of your highlights?
That's my highlight. The thing about it, and it's connected to what's happening with Triple H and Mankind, is this had a feel of like craziness, out of control, people spilling over the barriers. I was almost thinking, I wonder if this is what it felt like in the territories when things got out of hand, because it almost felt like things could have got out of hand. It's just given how like sort of frenzied the crowd were.
Yeah, because you've heard the stories from the territories about how hated the heels were, and people would jump the guardrail or wait for them after the match and things like that, and try and attack people. And I wonder what the likes of Austin specifically was thinking in this environment. I mean, no doubt. Loving it. And in terms of story and angle and all that, I imagine he must have been loving it, because it's just brilliantly done. We do get I think security get involved, because Austin never stops trying to get to them. Austin, I think he does this better than pretty much anyone I've ever seen. Because I remember, there was a big thing about it with the Tyson stuff and all that. He really looks like he wants to get to them. He does. It's just so well done.
So Austin, like you said, he gets rolled up and gets pinned. The Hart Foundation and a lot of family members are in the ring celebrating. Austin gets back in the ring with a chair, leathers Neidhart. He just... that classic thing, Austin no caring how many there are, he's going to... so he just gets jumped by multiple, more than 5 of them. There's other members of the Hart family sticking the boot in and all that. Again, it looks authentic. They end up getting security, like you say. Austin gets handcuffed and he's got his hands behind his back, flipping off the crowd, flipping off the other wrestlers. It's class.
Yeah, it's so good. And it's the perfect people to be involved as well. I couldn't see this working anywhere near as well without Austin on the other side. He's just perfect for it. Loved it. I was, when you think to yourself, this must be really good because, the situation, the storyline and all that, there was kind of this feeling of huge relief, because I was thinking, what if I watch it now and it's a bit shit? What if the crowd reaction isn't what I remember it being? What if it doesn't have that electric atmosphere that I thought it had? But it was all there. It was all just brilliant.
It really was. And I think there's definitely something to that short run time, 4 matches. It's just, I don't know, really good. I mean, you think of Raw being 3 hours these days, it's just amazing.
Yeah, it was so easy to watch, and I didn't feel like I was drifting from it at any point, which probably do with some of the longer shows. I mean, it can't keep your attention for 3 full hours plus at times. Just a really good show. Like you said, not one that people talk about an awful lot, but one that's definitely worth watching.
Definitely. Yeah, I really recommend it. Great pick, Adam.
Oh, I mean, I'm quite pleased with my last 2, SummerSlam 02 and then this. If
it was a boxing match, they'd be stopping it, pummeling away at me. I've got a wee one. I've got a wee one tucked for next time though.
Okay.
Yeah, I mentioned territories there, and I've been really quite keen to get into some of the territories. It's difficult to know where to start on the network. It's more like 40-minute shows than like classic pay-per-view sort of format or anything like that. So it's been difficult to kind of work out where to start. But anyway, I did what you did and did a really basic greatest pay-per-views of all time. And I wanted to try and look for something oldish, something that I hadn't seen before, and preferably something that wasn't, like WrestleMania 2 or something like that. So, we're going to go from a 4-match card to a 9-match card.
Okay.
We're going WCW NWA's Great American Bash 1989.
Oh, no.
And
I wonder if I've ever seen that.
I hope not. I know I've definitely not, but I hope you've not seen it. I know next to nothing about it apart from the matches on the card. I can tell you some of the matches.
Go for it.
So there's a $50,000 Triple Crown 2-ring King of the Hill Battle Royal.
Oh.
Some names that you recognise here. Both Steiners are there. Mike Rotunda, Sid Vicious, Flying Brian, Terry Gordy, Kevin Sullivan, Ron Simmons. So a lot of recognisable names.
Yep.
Flying Brian Pillman versus Bill Irwin. Don't know.
Okay.
The Dynamic Dudes, Johnny Ace and Shane Douglas.
Is that Johnny Ace as in John Laurinaitis?
It is.
Nice.
Versus,
That's such a weird team. Okay.
The Skyscrapers, Dan Spivey and Sid Vicious with Teddy Long as their manager.
Oofed.
We've got Tuxedo Street Fight, Paul E. Dangerously versus Jim Cornette.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Texas Tornado Tag Team match, the Steiner Brothers with Missy Hyatt versus the Varsity Club, Kevin Sullivan and Mike Rotunda.
Okay.
Sting versus the Great Muta for the NWA World Television title.
Nice.
Luger versus Steamboat for the NWA United States Heavyweight title.
Okay.
We've got a War Games match. So that is Dr. Death,
yes.
Steve Williams, and the Midnight Express and the Road Warriors. So what's that? 5. Versus the Fabulous the Samoan SWAT team, Fatu and Sam Dangerously.
Okay.
And main event is Rick versus Punk for the NWA World Heavyweight title.
Nice. So I'm assuming in this era, just with the fact they've got kind of secondary titles, that Sting and Luger are just on their way up.
Young pups. I think so. Yeah, I guess we've
Nice.
got like
I like the sound of this.
Surfer Sting, obviously, rather than Crow Sting, of course. Aye, so there you go.
Nice.
What do you think?
That'll be fun.
You up for that?
Yeah, I mean it's totally out of left field, but that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever seen this show. I did watch some like old stuff on the network when I first got the network, but it was more on the WWF side rather than the WCW side. So yeah, that's an interesting one. That'll be fun.
When you mentioned Brian Pillman earlier, and you were saying about him being high flying and being flying Brian Pillman, I was having a wee wry smile to myself. I was like, oh, that's good. Good news.
Nice. This will be fun. Yeah. Good pick.
A lot of, well, let's, what's it? Winston Wolfe said in Pulp Fiction, let's not start. Yeah. Let's just wait. JR on commentary as well.
Nice.
So yeah, we'll give that a whirl and we'll chat that through in a couple of weeks.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
Cool. Great pick this week though. Really enjoyed it. So thank you for that.
Awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Please, anybody that has got recommendations for us on territories and where to start, and where's a good place, even YouTube stuff or whatever, please send us a message on Instagram and let us know where's a good place to start, because I'd be really keen to do that.
Yep, definitely.
Great stuff. Right, well, we shall see you in a couple of weeks. Until then, take it easy, Adam.
Awesome. You too. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye-bye.